Gene Key 16, that shadow of indifference that gives way to the gift of versatility in the city of mastery. I'm Molly, you're watching Mirror Readings, and let's get into Gene Key 16. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And indifference can hijack our attention and put it on the inessential. And what's inessential is anything that takes us out of the present moment, right? Because then ultimately we become indifferent to what really matters. This 16th shadow can express a bunch of different ways, but it absolutely overtakes anyone who's not doing what they love. Another sneaky expression is making the excuse that we don't have time to do what we love because we're so caught up in our survival needs, which can be true. But enthusiasm is an absolutely essential ingredient for any meaningful life. And accessing enthusiasm in any form is an instant on-ramp out of that shadow of indifference and into the gift of versatility. In a reactive state, indifference can make us totally delulu. And in a repressed state, it can make us incredibly gullible and easily influenced by outside perspectives, usually negative ones. But again, whatever you can find enthusiasm about to just tap into that energy, instantly you're transported to that gift frequency. Some other sneaky expressions of indifference are diffusion of responsibility, which is like looking at something and being like, somebody else will handle this, even if you know there's something that you could do to help. Or it can express as feeling like we don't have the mastery of the skills necessary to be able to show up into X situation. But the gift of versatility starts with that attitude of enthusiasm, because as soon as you access enthusiasm and you just have a positive attitude, Gene Key specifically calls it an enlivening attitude of spirit. You realize that you don't need any specific skills to handle something. And maybe, diffusion of responsibility is a total illusion, and that you can absolutely be responsible in the moment, not because you know what to do necessarily or because you're a master of handling that particular situation, but because you have an enlivening attitude about it. That's versatility. And versatility is a feature of flow state. When we're in flow, we can show up to the moment and be whatever the moment needs us to be. So whereas that shadow of indifference is like a taking energy, the gift of versatility is always replenishing itself, because it's not losing any energy in self-consciousness or overthinking, what it should do in the moment. It's just showing up with a positive can-do attitude, and whatever can't be done, the gifts can be borrowed from those around us. And the city of mastery, I busted out my little Buddha master just for the occasion. But the city of mastery harnesses enthusiasm in a way that allows us to show up to any situation as a completely whole person, totally available as a vessel of spirit. All cities represent the end of individuality and desire in some way. And this particular city has us merge with all of the other consciousness points around us so that we can borrow from those gifts to bring light to any situation that needs light. Also, masters see systems. So inherently that city of mastery involves a dissolution of a single perspective and a merging with the grander collective perspective. Another interesting feature of the cities as a whole is a lot of times they appear as obstacles on our path from the shadow to the gift frequency. So mastery is an obstacle when we're in that shadow of indifference, because we feel like we're not masters of the situation, therefore we don't have the skills to meet the moment, and or somebody else is just going to handle it. So it's that diffusion of responsibility again. But as we move into the gift of versatility, all we need is an enthusiastic attitude. We don't need mastery of any particular skills to be able to be beneficial in the present moment. And then that mastery of that attitude of enthusiasm opens up both the horizontal and the vertical world, so we have full access to all the gifts that are part of the collective consciousness. And then we can really be beneficial in the moment, because just having that positive, give a shit, can do attitude means that we can access anything we need to know to be able to fully show up. Need some help navigating the horizontal and vertical world? Book a reading with me. You can visit my website, mirrorreadings.com. All subscribers to this channel save 15%. And if you have questions, absolutely drop them in comments or send me an email, mirrorreadings@gmail.com.